The mediation efforts continue in the ongoing Israel-Hamas war. However, as the fighting continues, diverse peace plans have been put forward. French President Emmanuel Macron has now arrived in Jordan after visits to Israel and the West Bank. While amid calls for a slowdown, Israeli officials continue to be adamant on the expected ground offensive, while the death toll keeps on mounting. More than 700 Palestinians were killed overnight by Israeli airstrikes, and this is as per Gaza's Hamas-run health ministry. This is the highest 24-hour death toll since the war broke out on October 7th. Well, the Israeli military says it had hit over 400 Hamas targets and killed dozens of militants overnight. Meanwhile, rocket warning sirens continue to ring in Israel. They sounded in several central Israeli towns in the last 24 hours. Visuals show Israel's Iron Dome intercepting the fired rockets. Moving on to another very pressing issue at the moment, and that is the humanitarian aid access to Gaza. On Tuesday, 8 trucks containing water, food and medicine, they were able to enter the besieged enclave through the Rafah crossing. However, the number was supposed to be 20, but no explanation has been provided as to why the rest of the trucks did not enter. As of now, a total of 54 aid trucks have entered Gaza over the last several days, which is not enough for more than 2 million people. Well, Gaza needs a much higher volume of aid. And a discussion regarding this very issue took place in the United Nations Security Council on Tuesday, where all nations agreed that more humanitarian aid should be supplied into Gaza, and that too urgently. But nations proposed rival plans for the same. The US has called for a pause in the conflict so that the aid could be delivered. Now, a pause is generally considered as a less formal and shorter than a ceasefire. However, Russia wants a complete immediate ceasefire. This plan is also backed by all Arab nations. Well, as the UN debates this issue, Gaza is running out of crucial materials. Hospitals in Gaza are operating without fuel, and doctors have warned that critical equipment like incubators for newborns could stop working. Well, as for the World Health Organization, 6 hospitals in Gaza were forced to shut down due to lack of fuel. As per the UN, Gaza needs at least 160,000 liters of fuel per day to power their basic requirements. And as per reports, Israel has now blocked the Palestinians. They've blocked Palestinians' access to Al-Aqsa Mosque premises. And this marks the first time that the mosque has been completely closed to Muslims in several months. Israeli police have imposed tight restrictions on the entry of worshippers into the mosque. Meanwhile, Western nations continue their shuttle diplomacy as they engage with Israeli and Arab leaders. In the latest, French President Emmanuel Macron met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and also with the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. And he will now meet with Jordan's King Abdullah. While Macron, during his meet with Palestinian leader, reiterated the need for a two-state solution. He called for an immediate cessation of the aggression on Gaza. While in Israel, the French president proposed an international coalition fighting Islamic State in Iraq and Syria to widen its scope and to include the fight against Hamas in Gaza. Macron, however, gave no details on how the US-led coalition of dozens of countries, of which Israel is not a member, how that could be involved and go forward. However, as per his advisors, this coalition would not imply boots on the ground, but it could include intelligence sharing. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu did not directly comment on Macron's proposal, but said that the fight was a battle between the axis of evil and the free world. US President Joe Biden spoke with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman about the situation in West Asia. Well, Biden affirmed that the US fully supports the defense of US partners facing terror threats. The two leaders agreed on also going forward with the broader diplomatic efforts to maintain stability across the region and prevent the war from expanding. Meanwhile, Netanyahu told his soldiers that a ground offensive is coming. He said that the offensive was still on track amid a growing sense of military delay. Well, the Israeli chief of staff also said that the country's forces are ready for a ground operation in Gaza. Defense Minister Yoav Gallant also warned soldiers to be prepared for the same.
אנחנו נגיע לתוך השטח ואנחנו נחסל את החמאס. פשוטו כמשמעו, אחרת לא יהיה לנו קיום כאן.